or 8 pounds? You better watch out, dreadlocks. You better watch out. Because we have come for you. Oh, sorry. It's my mother's tongue again. It comes through. You'd better watch out. Because we're not playing. We're real. And we are a terror.
Presumably, down the years, you and Chris have crossed paths outside of boxing. Do you get on?
He's a strange guy. He's a strange guy. I mean, he is like his dad. He's just Chris, isn't he?
There's a fire in Chris Eubank Sr. that looks different now. Not long ago, he was doing everything he could to stop his son, Chris Eubank Jr., from fighting Conor Benn. He didn't just think it was a bad idea. He was truly afraid for his son's life. Just a few days ago, he spoke with deep emotion, warning everyone about the risks. He kept saying the weight cut was dangerous. But now, things have changed. He seems more confident than ever that his son is ready, and that he's going to knock out his opponent.
Different life. But when you both know that there is even the smallest possibility that at some point we may fight, a friendship can never be formed.
The original fight deal had a weight limit of 157 pounds, with strict rules about rehydration for Chris Eubank Sr. That was just too dangerous. It reminded him of terrible things that had happened in boxing before. He talked about Michael Watson and other fighters, saying he wouldn't let his son become another tragic story. He clearly said, if my son had taken that fight where they tried to boil him down to 157, he would have lost his life. Those weren't just dramatic words. They came from real experience. Senior was doing what any father would do if he truly believed his son was in serious danger.
He's just getting on my nerves, to be honest. I ain't got nothing to say. There's no question you can ask me. Eubank, I can't wait to smash your head in.
Mission
April 26th. I can't wait to smash your head in.
Even blamed the promoters, saying they cared more about money than the fighter's safety. He said, "These guys they call managers and promoters. I'm coming for you. You tried to murder my boys. I'm coming for you." It was one of his most intense moments. You could tell this was deeply personal for him. But now, something has changed. Eubank Sr. isn't trying to stop the fight anymore. He's no longer worried. He's not warning people about weight, danger, or safety. That fear has turned into something else. Complete belief. He's looked at the situation again, watched his son train, felt the energy building up. And now, he's saying something completely different.
It is very messy, and I got pulled in. In doing that, yes, I premeditated it because these people are all over me, telling me that my dad doesn't like me. It's me alone, Dad.
He even said, even on PEDs, my son will end him. That's the kind of thing someone says when they're completely sure of what's going to happen. It's a big change, especially coming from the same man who once did everything he could to stop the fight. He spoke to every media outlet he could, gave interviews, and worked behind the scenes to shut it down. Now he's still standing tall, but with full confidence. He's not trying to protect his son anymore. He's backing him, supporting him in the strongest way possible, by saying, not even performance-enhancing drugs could save Conor Benn. Maybe it's because the fight is already locked in, and there's nothing left to except to boost his son's confidence as much as he can.
Do you agree with Chris Eubank Sr. where he says that the fight is unsafe to make due to the weight?
That's up to his team to decide that. It's up to the boxing board of control.
For that statement came after everything blew up again. The weight issue was only part of the problem. Conor Benn had also failed drug tests, and a lot of people still don't trust how the situation was handled. Eubank Sr. had more to say about that too. He didn't just blame Benn. He said the whole team was responsible. If Benn should be banned, he said, then his whole team should be. He couldn't have done this to himself. He pointed at everyone in Benn's corner, even his trainer.
A little bit, spent $1 million trying to clear his name.
You know what, that's why you're in. No. Because I've been cleared by 3 organisations, by people who are a lot smarter than you.
Was there drugs in your system?
This is you talking personally.
Was there drugs in your system?
Even with everything going on, Eubank Sr. still has full confidence. The failed drug tests don't shake him. He's not worried about what Ben might be doing behind the scenes. His belief in his son is stronger than all of that. He's not guessing or hoping. He knows. And that's what makes his words hit even harder. Chris Eubank Jr. has always shown that same confidence. He's never looked afraid of this fight, not even once. In fact, he's been calm the whole time. He said clearly, "I believe I'm so superior in my boxing ability than Conor Benn is." He wasn't trying to get attention. He truly meant it. He also said he only needs to be at 60% to win. For him, this isn't just hype. It's a job he knows he can do, and he's ready to prove it.
But I'm not falling into the trap.
What do you think the trap is? Genuinely curious.
I don't want this to be, you're not getting any emotions out of me.
You think you're being smart, but you're not.
No,
You're just being an idiot.
I'm not being smart.
You think you're being smart.
He is being smart.
No,
you're being dumb.
Smart.
He got you.
I'm still gonna flatten you.
He even said, "If I can't beat Conor, I sail off into the sunset. I cannot lose this fight." That's not something you say unless you've already decided that winning is the only option. Eubank Jr. knows how big this fight is. It's personal, it's historic, and it's emotional. But none of that is stopping him from putting in the work. At a past press conference, he brought an egg to the table and smashed it. A joke about Ben's failed drug tests. It looked like a prank, but it had a deeper meaning. It was symbolic. He was reminding everyone of the controversy and trying to take control of the story, but that move came with a cost. The British Boxing Board of Control fined him $100,000 for it. Now, he's appealing the fine, saying it was harsh and unfair, especially when compared to what other fighters have done.
Intervened with the egg throwing and put his arm, I think,
I
on
thought it was-
your throat. And at the second press conference, you basically threatened Nigel Benn. Said if he did that again, you deal with him. And
It wasn't a threat, it was a promise.
Oh, it's not a promise, is it?
You
You're a
can't
fucking
touch me.
scumbag.
You can't
What we
touch
did.
me.
What we
you
did.
can throw an egg in
What we
his
did.
face and his
Isn't
father
it-
can't.
No,
Me and him-
you're
me and him are
just
fighting.
upset. You're just upset.
Me and
your
you are
dad
fighting.
Can't stand you. And
I'm
my
not
dad has
upset.
my back. You are. That's all. That
Even with the fine hanging over him, he didn't back down. His energy has stayed the same, confident, focused, and calm. He even took it a step further by accepting a $1 million bet from promoter Eddie Hearn. That's a huge bet, especially to take it in public. But Eubank Jr. didn't hesitate. By taking that bet, he didn't just say he believed he'd win. He made it clear he was so sure. He was willing to put £1 million on it.
That fight happens, and when that fight does happen, you are going to see a vicious and violent performance from Conor Benn.
At the same time, he's dealing with a legal battle off the canvas. Promoter Frank Warren is suing him for calling him a scumbag and accusing him of cheating in the sport. Eubank Jr. publicly apologized, but Warren is still moving forward with a libel and slander case. Even with all this happening in the background, Eubank Jr. stays focused. Lawsuits, fines, and insults haven't slowed him down. For Eubank Jr., everything is coming together. His preparation, mindset, and motivation. And his father sees that too. That's why Eubank Sr. has gone from being scared to being proud. He used to speak like he was trying to save his son's life. Now he speaks like nothing can touch him. The tension between the Eubank and Benn teams has only added more fuel to the fire. The press conferences aren't just about promoting the fight anymore. They're filled with sharp comments, personal, jabs, and real emotions.
Don't mind that. I'm looking at the people that you're around. Here it is. You know the spirit world. That's how I know you're an honest man. The people around you are part of a gang. It's a team thing. You're the mark. Okay, the only person who's going to look out for you is you, supposed to be your dad, and people like me. You can trust me.
Eubank Sr. looked Conor Benn in the eyes and called it a warning shot. That kind of message isn't for show. It's personal. He called out Benn and his trainer at the press conference, criticizing their whole team. Senior knows exactly what's coming, and he's letting them know in advance. He also suggested that Conor Benn fight his nephew, Harlem Eubank, instead. It wasn't just a random comment. It was a clear message that Benn wasn't ready to face Jr. Not right now, not with the kind of energy coming from Jr. It was a way of saying, take a step down, because the real fight is already out of your reach.
Friends, who are you moving about with? His father should be there to watch that. Now, your father...
Wait, who are you to talk about my life? Who are you to talk about my life?
Who am I?
Who are you to talk about my personal life in front of all these cameras? Who are you? I find that extremely disrespectful.
No, it's not.
That is very disrespectful. It's none of your business. You want to talk about my dad, talk about him. Don't talk about me.
Everything around this fight has become bigger than just boxing. There's family history, pain, pride, betrayal, and legacy involved. Senior once feared his son might die if he fought under the wrong conditions. Now, he believes his son will dominate, no matter what the other side is doing. The weight advantage has quietly become one of the most important factors in this whole story. It's shaping the tone of what feels like the most personal grudge match British boxing has seen in years.
If he was to put his hands on my son, I swear to God he wouldn't be living. And until you have kids, obviously you don't, because you don't understand, and your dad obviously never protected you. That's why you feel the way you feel, which is why you obviously feel the way you feel. No, it's it must be the way feel the way you feel.
I was never protected.
Yeah, you was probably never. You look like you've never been protected.
There's a 10-pound rehydration clause that Chris Eubank Jr. has to deal with on the morning of the fight. For many fighters, that kind of restriction would be a huge problem. It's the kind of clause that can drain a person both physically and mentally. But even with that, most people in the sport believe the weight class still favors Eubank Jr. Not because the numbers are easy, but because he knows how to manage them. Even Tyson Fury, a man who understands everything about weight and how it affects a fight, spoke clearly about it. He said, if it's 10 stone or whatever it is, 10.5 stone, it's going to be Conor Benn. But if it's at middleweight, probably Chris Eubank Jr.
Even a fight that was on our radar. You know, I'm a 147 fighter, he's a 160 fighter, and our paths just happened to cross. You talk about the stars align, you could say that.
And you know, I've done everything that has been asked of me. You know, I'm on weight, I've trained, I've promoted the fight, and most importantly, I've stayed clean, not just for this fight, but for my entire career.
There was no emotion in Tyson Fury's statement, just a cold analysis of the advantages. And that's exactly what's happening. Conor Benn is moving up to 160 pounds. This is a big jump, one that could be too much for most fighters, especially when they've never had to carry that weight with power and precision. Benn insists that the weight won't be a problem. He's confident he'll carry his knockout power with him, saying the added pounds won't weaken the danger in his punches. But that confidence is already being questioned. His last few wins at super welterweight, 154 pounds, went the full distance. That doesn't exactly scream knockout artist, it suggests that his power didn't carry over the way he thought it would. Now, he's adding even more weight on top of that. The belief is there, but the evidence is lacking.
You need to be on high alert today.
If I can get my hands on him, I'll get my hands on him. That's provided I can, but I did have a great sleep that night, because it gave me such comfort in knowing that legally I get to batter the man. As I said, on April 26th at Tottenham Stadium in front of 65,000 people. It gives me great comfort in knowing that. I had the best sleep ever.
Meanwhile, the man across from him has already learned boxing's hardest lesson. When Eubank Jr. lost to Liam Smith in January 2023, it wasn't just a loss on his record. It was a reminder that underestimating anyone, no matter what the stats say, can cost you everything. Smith wasn't known for being a knockout puncher, but that didn't matter. He caught Eubank off guard. That loss wasn't just humbling, it was a turning point. After that fight, Eubank Jr. parted ways with Roy Jones Jr., the same Roy Jones who had helped add new depth to his style. The decision to separate wasn't just professional, it was a step in his personal growth.
The Chris Eubank Jr. Conor Benn fight does absolutely nothing for me. Really? Yeah, Chris Eubank Jr. lost to George Groves, he lost to Billy Joe Saunders, he doesn't box, he boxes once a year. He looked terrible in his last fight. He was slow with his jab, he was leaving his chin in the air, his balance looks like it's gone. He's 36 years old, talking about fighting Canelo Alvarez and taking on all these top, he was talking about Triple G for a while, who's now gone 40 and retired.
Roy Jones, speaking after their split, put it simply. Chris learned from the Liam Smith fight that you can't underestimate anyone. And he's right. That wake-up call might be what saves Eubank in this rematch with Benn. If Ben is still thinking he can just walk in and force a stoppage against a naturally bigger man who's now fully focused, he might end up chasing something that isn't there.
I think it's going to be a very good fight. Conor has punching power chances. Chris is the bigger guy, so you give Chris the advantage going in because he's a bigger guy, but Conor does have exceptional punching power, so it's going to be a great fight. I think Chris should win the fight. I think Chris should outbox him, outsmart him, but he will have to be smart early because Conor...
Roy Jones also laid out the only real way Conor Benn can win this fight. It's not about strategy, points, or movement. It's about destruction. The only way Ben is going to beat Eubank is if he knocks him out cold. Ben can't outbox him, and he can't avoid him. The only option is to stand and trade punches, hoping something lands hard enough to end the fight. That's not a strategy. It's just a gamble.
It's a mismatch. It's an entertaining matchup.
Why is it a mismatch?
Because of ability, because of weight classes. Chris Jr. is a middleweight and a super middleweight. He's naturally a super middleweight. So, he's having to starve himself to come down and, with all the catch weights and all of this stuff, it's a...
Conor Benn is supposed to follow in his father's footsteps. His dad's reputation wasn't built on finesse. It was built on power, rawness, and violence. That's the legacy Conor has to live up to, and that's the pressure he's carrying now. If he can't meet those expectations, he'll be exposed. Roy Jones painted the picture clearly. My goal is to land a big left hook or overhand right. That's what Ben has. That's all he has. If those punches don't land clean and early, he's in serious trouble.
I think it's arguably one of the biggest fights ever to take place in England. The personalities, the backstory between the dads, everything works to make this humongous. We could have sold 500,000 tickets. I think I'm with Conor Benn on this. I think he's gone through more than enough in his life, which has now been completely exonerated. What a waste of 2 years of a young man's life.
While all of this is happening, Eubank Jr. has become a more dangerous version of himself than ever before. He's calm now, calm in a way that unnerves his opponents. He's fully embraced the role of the villain, and not just because it sells. He enjoys it. There's something unsettling about a man who smiles through booze, who feeds off hate like it's fuel. During an appearance on Ariel Helwani's show, he didn't play it safe or give the usual media-friendly answers. He just told the truth, his truth. He admitted he used to hate being the bad guy, saying it was a dark, tough experience the first time he was booed.
Let's go.
So even back then as a kid, you were being judged about the fact your father was up here?
All the time. All the time tested, all the time poked and prodded by kids. When you pull up to school in a 2-ton Peterbilt truck with a man with a monocle and a jacket and a cane jumps out and he's honking the horn, and you've got to step down the stairs and go into the school. When you put that kid in that type of environment, he's going to become a target.
Now, he says he loves it. I love the haters. I love the doubters. I love getting booed into arenas, drinks flying, and seeing that anger in people's eyes. I feed off that energy now. As crazy as that sounds, that mindset is what makes this version of Eubank so different. He's no longer trying to be understood or asking for acceptance. He's turned the hate into his weapon, and that makes him more dangerous than any weight class could measure.
It was all I could muster, and one was enough.
Did you take rotten eggs on purpose?
Absolutely. I bought the cheapest, oldest, crustiest eggs I could find from the worst store I could find. That's what this kid deserves. The worst of the worst.
Even with all that chaos, Eubank still knows where to draw the line. When speaking about Ben, he didn't go overboard with trash talk. He was precise, saying, "There's disdain. Of course there is. Ben failed drug tests twice and tried to blame eggs. But Eubank made it clear there's a difference between disdain and hate. Hate is a dark, consuming energy. It's a mindset that takes over." Eubank said, "I would never give anybody that type of power over me."
Eubank's looking at Conor Benn, he's talking to him, he's thinking to himself, when do I splat this egg around the side of his head? When do I do it? How do I do it? Do I put it in his face? Do I put it on his head? Is he going to see me? Because if Conor would have seen him, he might have blocked it and check hooked him. But it was quick. He distracted Conor by saying, "What did he say?" Then he reached for the egg. and he clattered him right around the side of the back of the ear and the face, and the egg yolk went everywhere. A lot of the yolk missed him, so it wasn't that embarrassing where he's dribbling with egg yolk. It was a bit of a piss take.
What sets Eubank apart from fighters who fall apart under pressure, like Deontay Wilder did against Tyson Fury, is the way he handles it. Wilder let hate consume him, and it made him forget who he was in the ring. Eubank knows that danger. He won't step into that trap. He'll keep the grudge, but won't let it blind him. This fight isn't just about personal pride, it's about public perception. Eubank knows he's hated, but he knows why. Benn, on the other hand, had people behind him. He was the fighter fans loved. Then, he lost it all in one mistake. Or, depending on who you ask, a series of bad choices. Eubank put it best. The people who hate me love to hate me. But for Conor, people despise him for a different reason. He had it all, the support, the fan base. And then he threw it all away for no good reason. The difference between them is huge. Eubank is comfortable in the fire. Benn is still trying to pretend he's not burning. That's a different kind of pressure.